And let us finish this, the first chapter of the first part of The Dark is Rising cycle, the final book, Silver on the Tree by Susan Cooper. This part is called When the Dark Comes Rising, and this chapter is called Midsummer's Eve. Will, who is 12, and his older brother Stephen, who is 27 and in the Navy, are having a conversation about how Will is an old one, which Stephen does not quite believe, even though he has been contacted by 2 old ones to give messages to Will. "Oh no," Will said. "You didn't dream them. Other warnings have been coming too." He fell silent for a moment, thinking of the anxious, hurrying figures looming out of a mist of time 3,000 years past, and the Saxon boys after that, watching terrified for the marauding Danes. Then he looked sadly at Stephen. "It is too much for you," he said. "They should have known that. I suppose they did. The messages had to come by word of mouth. That's the only way secure from the dark. And after that, it's up to me." Quickly, he seized his brother's arm, pointing, as an incomprehension on Stephen's face began changing unbearably to alarm. "Look, there's James!" Automatically, Stephen half turned to look. The moment made his leg brush against a low bramble clump growing out of the field from the trees and hedge behind, and out of the sprawling green bush rose a flickering sudden cloud of delicate white moths. They were an astonishing sight, feathery, exquisite, endlessly flowing upward, hundred upon hundred. They fluttered like a gentle snow flurry around Stephen's head and shoulders. Startled, he flapped his arms to brush them away. "Stay still," Will said softly. "Don't hurt them. Stay still." Stephen paused, one arm raised apprehensively before his face. Over and around him the tiny moths flurried, round and around, wheeling, floating, never settling, drifting down. They were like infinitely small birds, fashioned of snowflakes, silent, ghostly, each tiny wing a filigree of 5 delicate feathers, all white. Stephen stood still, dazed, shielding his face with one hand. "They're beautiful, but so many. What are they?" "Plume moths," Will said, looking at him with a strange, loving regret, like a farewell. "White plume moths. There's an old saying that they carry memories away." In one last whirl, the white cloud of moths flowed and fluttered round Stephen's uncertain head. Then the cloud parted, disappearing like smoke. As in the same curious communication, the moths disappeared into the hedge. The leaves enfolded them. They were gone. James came thudding up behind them. "Gosh, what a chase! It was a mink. It must have been." "Mink?" Stephen said. He shook his head suddenly, like a dog newly come out of water. James stared at him. "The mink, the little black animal." "Yes, of course," Stephen said hastily, looking dazed. "It was a mink, then." James was bubbling with triumph. "I'm sure it was. What a piece of luck. I've been watching out for one ever since that article in the Observer. It told you to because they're a pest. They eat chickens and all kinds of birds. Someone brought them over from America years ago to breed them for the fur. A few escaped and went wild." "Where did he go?" said Will. "Jumped into the river. I didn't know they could swim." Stephen picked up the picnic basket. "Time we took the fish home. Hand me that lemonade bottle, Will." James said promptly, "You said you'd get me a drink on the way back." "I said if you caught 10 more fish. 7's pretty close." "Not close enough." "Stingy lot, sailors," said James. "Here," said Will, poking him with the bottle. "I didn't drink all the lemonade anyway." "Go on, sponge," said Stephen. "Finish it." One corner of the basket was fraying. He tried to weave the loose ends of wicker together while James gulped his lemonade. Will said, "Falling to bits, that basket. Looks as though it belonged to the old ones." "Who?" said Stephen. "The old ones. In the letter you sent me from Jamaica with the big carnival head last year. Something the old man said, the one who gave it to you. Don't you remember?" "Good Lord, no," said Stephen amiably. "Much too long ago," he chuckled. "That was a crazy present, all right, wasn't it? Like the stuff Max makes at art school." "Yes," Will said. They strolled home through the long, feathery grass, through the lengthening shadows of the trees, through the yellow-green flowers of the sycamore. And that is the end of chapter 1.